25th of November. Crippling, degrading all day while sat in the Wetherspoons, crippling apology saying sorry and then stripping my life out. And also I've made videos recently discussing the sex crimes they've committed against me in a controlled state, where they've controlled me into sadistic sexual humiliation and sadistic sexual degrading or crippling sexual humiliation. They've relativised all my power to speak out about that and then bombarded my accusations saying liar, or relativised the crippling transgression saying liar into my ability to speak out about the sex crimes. Essentially stripping out my power to speak out, or my ability or physical capability to project my words or speak out about sex crimes they've committed against me. They're saying liar, or crippling transgression, a liar, and stripping my power out internally. They've controlled me in a controlled state into acts of sadistic, what I've classed as sadistic humiliation and degrading of a high-risk sexual nature. So they've used me in a controlled state for humiliating sex acts or sexual humiliation and degrading, and also imitating homosexual role plays or humiliating, degrading homosexual role plays, whereby they commit crime against your sex power by humiliating you and pulling it out. So they're basically using me in a controlled state, or they've used me in a controlled state for humiliation or sexual humiliation, and then strip my sex power out by humiliating me sexually. That's my life they've cost me. They're costing me my natural life course. So my natural life course's expense, or my natural life course, my natural relationship, or my natural sexual experiences have been stripped out and internalised for what I've classed as sadistic and humiliating sex crime or humiliating sexual humiliation. So they've replaced my natural life course or my natural sexual experiences in a controlled state and created them for me in a way to humiliate and degrade my sex power and then strip it out. And I'm just sat here now in the pub and they're relativising liar into my ability to speak out about sex crimes or sex power in society. In other words, forcing me to accept the fact that they can do what they want and commit sex crimes against me in a controlled state. They've controlled me into some of the most humiliating, degrading sex acts you could imagine, which would get me a life. If I committed those acts, people get life sentences on a daily basis for less than what they've done in a controlled state. They've controlled me into humiliate homosexual role plays, homosexual humiliation and degrading. This is costing me every day of my life. It's cost me every day of my life for years. They're using me in a controlled state, or they've used me in a controlled state to humiliate my sex power in a controlled state, basically. Created sexual humiliating role plays, controlled me into sex acts that humiliate and degrading in a controlled state. They'll say it's the job to do that, but the fact is it's not the job, because if I commit that crime in society, I'd get a life sentence. If anybody else commits that crime in society, they get a life sentence. So why is it any different that officers or the system can commit crime against you in a controlled state, controlling you into high risk, serious, degrading humiliation of a sexual nature, and then not account for it, which is exactly what's happened in this occasion. They're using me in a controlled state to commit sex acts against them and say sorry into my power. That's all that's been going on all day. Detective constables calling me a liar and saying sorry into my power and stripping out any knowledge they've done anything wrong, forcing me into conformity to accept the fact they can do what they want at my expense. They pulled every single bit of my power out saying sorry, and as they're doing it, I'm becoming more and more in a controlled state. My jaw's completely snagged shut and the process continues. Crippling apology by imitating detective constables apologising into my power, afflicting crippling, degrading and pulling it out, and also bombarding my accusations of being a liar into my power to speak out or project the fact they've committed sex crimes against me. Crippling transgressions continues, forcing me into accepting the fact they can do what they want at my expense in a controlled state, calling me a liar and then saying sorry for it into the crimes they're committing in a controlled state. Problem still continues, costing me every day of my life. Crippling breaking sessions still continue.